Hi, I'm Andrea Brinnel from the Connecticut State Department of Education, and we're so glad you're able to take about 15 minutes out of your day to view this presentation. We hope that we're able to provide you with some information about distance learning as it relates to young children. We know that we're in a situation that you never expected to find yourself in, and we hope that the information and ideas in this video can be a support to you and the children and families that you serve.
Hi, I'm Michelle Levy from the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood. As Andrea indicated, this public health emergency has made it necessary for everyone to make changes to their lives. Families are staying safe and staying at home. Schools and many childcare centers have closed and are doing the same. School districts have shifted towards distance learning opportunities, and you as educators are working to support children and families in new and unfamiliar ways. We've all had to make changes in recent weeks. You might be caring for or helping your own children with distance learning or caring for other family members. We hope this video will provide you with some ideas for supporting children and families during this difficult time.
It's important to recognize that many parents and caregivers might be feeling anxious or scared or may have other family members that they're caring for. We know that they have a lot to think about and there's a lot that they're responsible for. We recognize that meeting their family's basic needs is their priority. Also, that focusing on their child's learning might feel very challenging. You can share with families that the good news is that for young children, the process of taking care of many household tasks, like cooking and cleaning, can offer some perfect opportunities for learning. Our hope is that some of the tips and ideas we share with you in this video will help you with your distance learning efforts with preschoolers and their families. We're going to offer you suggestions for collaborating with families about learning opportunities that can be part of their regular daily experiences. We want to help you to make learning fun without adding to families' already full plates. Our goal for distance learning is for learning opportunities that don't feel distant for families or their children.
An easy first step for families can be to create a consistent but flexible schedule. Young children like predictability, and at a time when so much has changed, having a predictable schedule at home can make a big difference. An easy way is to make everyday life predictable is to use a visual schedule. A visual schedule will help families create a predictable flow to the day and let children know what's expected, what they can expect, and what is expected of them. There are many ways that families could make a visual schedule. They might use photos of their child involved in activities, pictures from the internet, or pictures they or their child have drawn. If you have visual images that were used at school, you might have had such a schedule at school, and you could share these images with families to use on their own schedule. Remind families that if they involve their child in making the schedule, it will help them the child feel involved and make it more likely that they'll want to use it. Andrea, I think you had some examples that you wanted to share.
Yes, thanks, Michelle. Having predictable routines is one of the ways that you can help families set up their day to be less stressful. There are lots of easy ways to do this. They can make a visual daily schedule, or they can print ones they find on the internet or use an example that you can send them. Keep in mind that not every family has the resources to print a ready-made one. Make sure they know not to worry and that they can make a great one with whatever materials they have at home. Remind them that a predictable schedule doesn't mean being a rigid schedule. Help them to understand that making visuals able to be moved around on the schedule is important if there needs to be a change in the schedule. Maybe outdoor play can't happen today because it's raining. You can give them the strategy of using a symbol to let their child know there's going to be a change. I like to use a lightning bolt symbol as a visual for heads up, there's something different today. Explain that by using a visual schedule, their preschooler can be a little bit more independent when they see the schedule and know what their day will look like. For a child that really thrives on this predictability, you can help them to make separate schedules within schedules for parts of the day that are more challenging or that include skills that the child is working to master. Here are a couple examples of how a visual schedule can look. You can suggest families hang the schedule up, maybe even on a fridge, picture by picture with magnets, so they can move things around when they need to.
Some great ideas and strategies, Andrea. One of the reasons that the predictability is so important right now is because we're all experiencing something very unexpected, and it's a stressful time for everyone. It can be helpful to provide families with some books or resources that can help them talk about the current situation with their child. Help them to think about how they and their child are responding to the current situation. They might see new behaviors. They might see their children reverting and doing things they haven't done for some time. Young children pick up on what's happening around them and respond to the adult stress levels, even when they're trying to keep it from them. Children hear adults talking about the coronavirus. They may see their families' routines changing. Although the situation may seem too scary or complex for children to understand, talking with them about the situation in ways that are appropriate for young children can help ease their minds and help them know that they are supported. Many familiar organizations have created documents about talking with children, and there's some specific books and videos available as well. If you visit the Office of Early Childhood or Department of Education websites, you'll find links to a few resources that you might want to share with families or children. You might even record a video of you reading one of the books to share with the children from your classroom. If you aren't able to find something, our contact information will be available at the end of this presentation. Feel free to contact us and we can try to point you in the direction of a few resources.
Thanks, Michelle. One of your roles is to help families to understand the importance of answering their child's questions in a kid-friendly way. Explain that this will help relieve child's anxiety when their children's questions are answered. Be aware that there are a lot of materials out there to help families with this conversation. Both you and families are collaborating, and the families you're collaborating with are probably getting emails from all sorts of people and organizations, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed. Start your own toolkit of resources that you like and that you think will work well with the families and children that you work with. Explain to families that looking for the perfect resource shouldn't have to turn into a stressful situation, and practice this in your searches too. As long as families have conversations with their children and are honest in the way that children can understand, they'll be doing the right thing. You've probably learned a lot about distance learning in the past couple of weeks through your district and from many other sources. You may even have older children who are using platforms like Google Hangouts or Google Classrooms or have web-based assignments to complete. Families need to know that for young children, distance learning is a little bit different. It's more about what adults do than having young children access their learning through technology like older students are doing. It's more about what adults can do to facilitate learning and include it in everyday situations and play, and not so much about a young child interacting with a screen.
I agree, Andrea. We're still using the term distance learning here because we hope that teachers, you can still be involved and be a distance resource to support families as they in turn support their children's learning. But there really is not a way to build a virtual preschool that can replace the types of hands-on experiences that young children need to learn. But the good news is that a lot of what families already do at home can be an opportunity for children to learn, especially with your support. You can be a resource to help them plan how to integrate learning into their daily routines and plan ways to build learning into play. We're going to share a couple of resources that might be helpful for this and which you might want to share with families. Share this next visual with you across these screens. There we go. One way of supporting families can be to provide them with a planning grid or ideas for supporting learning across their day. This looks a little overwhelming, and you may choose not to share this entire thing. But learning is always happening with young children, and with a little planning, families can embed opportunities for learning within their daily schedule. This can help them avoid the stress associated with feeling a need to set aside specific time for learning or lessons with young children. Of course, a grid like this, like I said, might feel overwhelming. You know your family's best. You might want to focus on one or two areas at a time, highlight goals for a child that you and a family had already discussed or agreed upon, or you may just want to let families choose a particular focus. A little planning, though, will help increase the child's success. Make sure families don't feel pressured to fill out this entire grid. For the family webinar, we shared a much simpler version with just 2 columns and talked with them about highlighting skills that they had spoken with teachers about or things that they particularly wanted to work on. One resource, oops, went too far forward. One resource that might be helpful in thinking about skills and embedding them throughout the day is the action guides from the Connecticut Early Learning and Development Standards. They have strategies for preschool in each area of learning, and many of the strategies are focused on things that happen within daily routines.
Michelle, thanks for sharing those great resources. You can help families and caregivers to break down some daily routines with their schedules. This can be a really effective way to increase their child's independence. You can also guide them to create step-by-step directions for daily household tasks, or even something that is so important these days, hand washing. You might help them to create a step-by-step recipe for making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that allows their child to make their own lunch. Having these kinds of everyday tasks broken down for their preschooler will give the child an opportunity to learn new skills and give families time for other important things they need to do. Remind them that this will be a learning process, and it could start out a little bit messy as their child learns to do some things themselves. Their child is likely to get some jelly on his or her shirt or pump out a little bit too much soap to wash their hands while they're learning to master these skills. Remind families that that's okay. It's all a part of the learning process.
Another key way to promote learning is through play, of course. Play is how children learn best. You can support families by letting them know how important play is for children. It can also be a great way for families to alleviate their own stress. Help them think about the different types of play that children can engage in and how, by planning the materials, talking with their child, having fun together, they can promote learning. Encourage things such as building blocks, playing with action figures or dolls, playing games with rules such as hide and seek, chutes and ladders, other board games. They may have games they played as a child that they could share. Perhaps you have games from school that you could encourage families to play with their child. And of course, dramatic play or imaginative play is also a kind of play that many children particularly enjoy and seek out.
Like Michelle said, play is really important, especially imaginative play. You can help families to plan to have materials available for open-ended dress-up play and to encourage their child to act out their favorite story, maybe even with props the child has thought of and made themselves. Explain the importance of asking open-ended questions and give them a few examples. Like, what do you think happens next? Why do you think that happened? Why do you think that character in your story wore that kind of clothes? Be sure to let families know about the importance of including some physical activity too, to get their child moving their body every day. This can be outdoor play if it's available to them, weather permitting. And also give some concrete examples of different kinds of sensory experiences, like giving children shaving cream on a table for a fun sensory experience and for drawing letters and shapes. The most important thing families should know is that play should be fun, and that'll make learning fun.
Those are great points. Finally, we know that screen time, whether it's on a tablet, computer, television, or a phone, is likely to be a part of the children's days. We want to remind you about the guidance around screen time in young children. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that children ages 2 to 5 years should be limited to screen use of an hour per day of high quality programs. They also recommend that families participate in screen time with children and help them understand what they are seeing and apply it to the world around them. We know that these aren't normal times and that young children will be using screens, but we hope that you keep these recommendations in mind as you share resources with families and help them promote learning at home. It's important to help families think about 2 different types of screen time: interactive and passive. Interactive screen time means that children are interacting with another person while they're engaging with the screen, or their actions are impacting what happens on the screen. It's very different than just passively watching something. Promote interactive screen time. Share ideas that involve interactive learning games about a topic a child's interested in. You might share websites that offer an opportunity for families to do virtual field trips, visit train stations, zoo, building sites. Encourage families to watch, and talk with their child.
You're right, Michelle. And screen time can be valuable for both the caregiver and the child. A great use of technology is to connect with others. You can suggest setting up virtual play dates using FaceTime or Skype with a friend or two. You can even think about facilitating virtual connections between classmates or having a virtual small group sharing experience that you facilitate. Maybe children can use tablets or phones at home so they can show each other different things in their homes. You can suggest having a virtual friend time added to the daily schedule too. Suggest to families that they do their best to limit screen time and make the screen time that their young children have a valuable experience. Make sure that families also know that the occasional viewing of Frozen is not a horrible thing. I think all of us can learn from Elsa to just let it go. Also, adults need to think about taking care of themselves, although it could look a little bit different now. Both you and the families you support need to remember that children need the caring adults around them to be their best selves. Be sure to take some time every day to take a deep breath and think positive thoughts. If you're feeling stressed out trying to plan for children in your class, stop, regroup, and suggest that families do the same. Distance learning for young children should be a support for the family and for their child, and not another stressor. Use the distance learning resources that, in your professional opinion, are the most appropriate for children and families that you work with. Pick some good ones to have in your toolbox, and keep your eyes peeled for new high-quality resources that'll meet their needs, but don't spend all of your time looking for more and better. The most important thing you can do is make sure that children and families know that you support them and that you care about them.
This is an important message for families to hear and for you to hear. This is a challenging and overwhelming time. We want families to know that it is important for them to take care of themselves. It's also important for you. There are supports out there to help families or to help you if you're feeling overwhelmed or need to be connected to resources. You can dial 211 or go to 211ct.org and be connected to a variety of resources, including resources related to meeting basic needs, getting mental health or crisis counseling, or connecting to childcare. Connecting to childcare, if you know somebody, I wanted to mention that if you know someone who is an essential worker who needs childcare, 211 can be a resource. We recognize that many programs and your public school programs have closed. And for families who are looking for care because they are considered essential workers, they may need this resource. The priority is to keep children at home, in keeping with the Stay Safe, Stay at Home campaign. When that is not possible, we're asking families to access their village, looking for care with trusted family members, neighbors, anything that's possible to keep the social distancing happening. But there are also backup plans. We know that families may need to access care, and calling 211 can help connect them to the care that they need. There's even a dedicated line for healthcare workers and first responders to connect them to care near them. We know you are all working hard to keep your family and the children and families you work with safe and secure during these trying times. Remember that focusing on supportive relationships with the children and the families you serve is one of the most important things you can do. And taking care of yourself is a part of that effort. Stop, as Andrea said, take a deep breath. Remember, learning happens in lots of different ways. And each day you're doing your best you can for your own family and the children and families that you're supporting. The situation is not easy, but eventually it will be over. Please know that your role to support is to be supportive with ideas and strategies and keeping preschoolers learning. It's important.
Michelle and I would like to thank you for taking time to watch and listen. Feel free to share this resource with other teachers. Also, please know there's also another version of this presentation for families. In closing, Michelle and I thought we should share part of a letter that I came across by Dr. Jennifer Gallagher, who's the superintendent of schools in Long Beach, California. In it, she says, 20 years from now, your child will not remember what they learned during the spring of 2020. Honestly, they won't. They will remember this time that they stayed home with you or whomever is caring for them for a few weeks. They will tell their own children about feeling safe and loved and peaceful during an anxious time. They'll remember the fun things you did with them. Do what is most important for your family these days. These are the kind of things that are important to let families know. Be well, and as Dr. Cardona, the Commissioner of Education, says, you've got this. Here's our contact information in case you have questions or concerns that we can help you with.